somewhere beyond the known stars, from the frequency where questions become music, prepare yourselves for the host of this transmission, the cosmic band leader, the dangerous question asker, Mexico Johnson.
All right, it looks like we made it. We are here on this lovely night of June 11th for a new episode of Let's Agree to Disagree tonight. It's your boy Mexico, coast to coast, and we gonna make it go down one more time tonight. Sorry for the little slight delay there. I had to take a little extra time making sure everything in the setup was plugged in and working properly. I want to debut a new feature for you guys tonight. Now we actually got Cece in live studio mode. Cece is actually listening along with the show now, and she can hear what we're talking about. And if I press this button here, I believe Cece can actually respond live on the air now. Let's try it. Cece, can you hear us?
Ready, Travis. For episode 23, I'm watching for thesis, tension, callbacks, and clip-worthy turns so you can stay in the conversation.
All right. I think that sounds good, Cece. We're going to keep it rolling here. If you were in the chat room, were you able... I'm just checking. Is that CC voice, is that loud enough? Do I need to make it louder? Or were you able to hear it at all? Let me know. We're going to get it rolling here, though. So, last week, we asked whether... Grady says good. Appreciate you, Grady. Last week, we asked whether bad news is awareness or whether bad news can become a control system. And underneath that question was a deeper concern. Who controls the environment our minds are living inside? Because a crisis feed does not only show us the world, it shapes what we expect from the world. It trains the nervous system. It narrows the sky. It teaches us what kind of future feels possible. But tonight, I want to pull that thread into a different machine. Not just the machine that feeds us bad news, the machine that watches us live. The machine that studies our habits, our movement, our attention, our purchases, our timing, our desires, our fear, our routines, and our relationships. The machine that makes money from the patterns of our existence. Because most people think the data conversation is a privacy conversation. And yes, privacy matters, but I think privacy is too small. The deeper question is dignity. The deeper question is ownership. The deeper question is whether our lives are already producing value inside a system that refuses to recognize us as workers, creators, contributors, or rightful owners of that value. And that connects to what we have been circling for the past few weeks. In episode 19, we asked whether human value is becoming replaceable or unrecognizable. In episode 20, we asked who gets repaired when value has been stolen across history. In episode 21, we asked whether institutions can defend human dignity in the future while refusing to repair the past. In episode 22, we asked whether the systems around us are shaping what we are even able to imagine. And tonight, travelers, we asked what may be the most personal version of that question. If your ordinary life generates wealth for someone else, if your phone, your location, your attention, your habits, and your patterns become raw material, if the value moves upward while you were told you were just a user, then what kind of system are we living inside? Greetings, travelers. I am Mexico Johnson, aka Mexico Coast to Coast, your signal architect for the evening here, broadcasting vibrations from the new organized world, and you are watching Let's Agree to Disagree tonight. Tonight's signal is tuned to a question that may already be sitting in your pocket. Let's get to it. Data. Is this a sign of your dignity? Or is this a sign of your digital slavery? Now, I want to say this carefully from the beginning. When I use the phrase digital slavery tonight, I am not using that casually. I am not flattening the horror of chattel slavery into a trendy tech metaphor. Chattel slavery was a specific, brutal, racialized system of forced labor, ownership, violence, and family separation. sexual violence, surveillance, punishment, and generational theft. Black Americans were enslaved in the name of white supremacy. Black Americans are still denied full repair and reparations because the legacy of white supremacy is still alive inside the institutions that decide whose harm counts and whose debt can be delayed. So, no, I'm not saying your phone tracking you is the same thing as chattel slavery. I am saying that if we study extraction, study the patterns of extraction, honestly, we start to recognize the logic when it returns wearing new clothes. Human life converted into value, value captured by someone else. The people generating the value told that they're not workers. They are users, they are consumers, they are profiles and data points. They are market segments, they are predictable behavior. And that is where tonight gets uncomfortable, because when people talk about data, they usually talk about privacy. Like, is my phone listening to me? Are the apps tracking me? Why did I talk about a product one time and then suddenly the ad appeared on my screen like a demon with a marketing degree? But the truth may be stranger than the conspiracy. Your phone does not need to listen to every word you say if the system already knows enough about how you live, where you go, what time you leave, who you stand near, what you buy, what you pause on, what you scroll past, what you almost buy, what you search for at midnight, what your friends are doing, what your body is becoming predictable enough to sell. Chat, I want to ask you early tonight. When you hear that your data is valuable, do you feel protected? Do you feel exploited, or just resigned? Because that answer matters. Most of us have been trained to think that data collection is the cost of modern life. Like, if you want the app, then give up the data. You want the map, then give up the data. You want the connection, give up the pattern of your relationships. If you want the convenience, let the machine learn your habits until it can predict you better than some of your friends can. And then the value of that prediction gets sold. Advertisers pay for it. Platforms monetize it. Data brokers, they package it. Algorithms refine it. And then companies build empires from it. Literally, they're making millions and billions of dollars off of the data that they harvest from us. And you get targeted ads and a privacy policy written in the language of a cursed spell. So, tonight, we are not only asking whether data collection is creepy, but that's too small. We are asking whether the economy has found a way to turn ordinary living into unpaid production. Because if my daily life generates profitable intelligence for a company, then I am not just a user, I am a part of the production system. And if I'm a part of that production system, then where is my money? Where is my dignity? Where is my ownership? And this brings us to automation, because the same pattern appears there too. A garbage truck used to have 2 or 3 workers jumping off of it, lifting cans and throwing trash into the back. Now, one driver can operate a truck with the automated arm. Eventually, maybe that driver disappears too. Maybe the truck drives itself. Maybe the route optimizes itself. Maybe the labor vanishes from the street. And maybe that's not automatically bad. Maybe a human being should not have to spend 8 hours a day hanging off of a garbage truck. That is, especially if a machine can do the dangerous and exhausting and repetitive work better. Appreciate you. Thank you for sending the gifts there on the TikTok. Appreciate you. I see the likes going up on the TikTok too. I really appreciate y'all dropping the likes there for me. Right now it's saying we got a couple people on the YouTube. Go ahead and hit that like button on the YouTube too while you at it there. Let's keep it rolling. Talking about the garbage truck drivers, maybe a human being should not have to spend 8 hours a day hanging off of a garbage truck if the machines can do that better. But here's the question. If the machine removes the labor, who receives the freedom? Does the worker become liberated or simply unemployed? Does the community receive the abundance, or does the value disappear into the same old vault with a newer logo? That is tonight's tension. Automation could free people from demeaning work. Data could help us build smarter systems. AI could help humanity understand itself. But under extraction logic, every miracle becomes another straw in the vein. So tonight, travelers, we move through 3 stations. Station 1, the invisible job, how our lives generate data value before we ever clock in. Station 2, the disappearing job, what automation reveals about labor, dignity, and the work nobody should have to do forever. And then lastly, Station 3. Hey, my boy Saint up in the thing. What up with you, dog? It's good to see you there, man. I ain't heard from you in a minute. Let's see, Station 3, the ownership question. If the machines and data create abundance, then who gets paid? Because it's not only about the future of work, this is about the future of worth. So let's get into it then. If we're going to go right into Station 1. Station 1. So we're going to get started here first talking about the invisible job. This is the work we do without calling it work. How you been, gang? You been missed, man. Have I tried 27 yet? Tell me more. What's 27? I've been good, though. We chilling. I had a little bit of a slow day today, but we got it going, and we here having a nice show tonight. I'm feeling all right, man. Tell me how you feeling. Let me know. What's that 27? I don't know about that. So, vision. Oh, no. I didn't do the beta. I like to wait for the full version to come out. But what I saw coming with this 27, that joint gonna be hard. I'm looking forward to that very much. But I'm not a beta person. I like to wait till the official version come out, just so everything can be clean and smooth. Me personally. Okay. So let's check in. Cece, how we feeling so far? Let's see what Cece got for us. High key like the new setup. I appreciate you, twin.
Yes, keep rolling. I'm hearing setup and chat room check-in as the opening frame. Next useful move is name the episode 23 question in one sentence.
Appreciate you, Cece. All right, let's keep it going. So we're talking about here at Station 1, the invisible job. Again, this is the work we do every day without calling it work. Every day we move through the world, leaving signals behind us. We leave location data, search data, purchase data, attention data, social data, health data, time, preference, routine. All of it becomes a part of a behavioral map. And that map has value, not imaginary value, real value. I'm saying these companies, they build fortunes from predicting what people will do next, what we will buy, where we will go, what we will fear, what we will crave, what we will believe, what keeps us scrolling, what makes us click. Let me say this another way. The modern data economy does not just sell products to you, it sells predictions to you. It sells predictions about you. And those predictions are built from the raw material of your life. This is why the "is my phone listening" conversation can be a distraction. Because maybe the more unsettling truth is that the system does not need to listen like a person listens. Appreciate you for sharing the stream there, my boy Grady. Thank you for sharing the stream. The unsettling proof, not worrying about is your phone listening to you or not. Maybe the more unsettling truth is that the system does not need to listen the same way that a human does. It listens through patterns. It listens through proximity. It listens through timing and behavior. It listens through the trail your ordinary life leaves behind. So chat, I want to ask you this. What feels more unsettling to you? The idea that your phone might be listening? Or the idea that it does not need to listen because your patterns already say enough? Cece, what pattern do you think lies underneath this?
Strong frame. The invisible job is work people perform daily without naming it as labor. Next move is give one concrete example so the audience can feel it immediately.
Okay, I like that. So if we keep going here then, let's see. So the invisible job, some concrete examples. They don't listen. They just know you. Exactly. That's what we're getting at here. Because people will say that, like the conspiracy theories, like, oh man, these phones, they're listening to everything we say. But that has actually like been proven in court, in the court of law, that the phones are not listening, and that it would be a huge privacy invasion worth a whole bunch of money. It would be a big lawsuit if we were able to prove that they were listening to us. And we've gone through all of the tests to ensure that the phones are not listening. Again, what's actually happening is a lot stranger, where the data that we leave behind is telling us is telling more about you than you think it does. So that is the invisible job. You do not clock in. You do not have a timesheet. You do not get a paycheck for the behavioral intelligence you produce. But the system still harvests the pattern. And if that pattern makes money, we have to ask, are we users or are we unpaid workers in the data field? Exploration Station 2. So next is the disappearing job. Because yesterday, I watched a garbage truck roll down my street, and then it hit me. There was only one person driving that truck. Just one. The truck had a mechanical arm that reached out, and it grabs the trash can, and it lifts it up, and it dumps it, and then it sits it back down, and the truck keeps moving on. Not long ago, though, that same job might have taken 2 or 3 people. Human bodies hopping off the back of the truck, human hands grabbing the cans, and human backs doing the lifting. Human knees, shoulders, wrists, lungs, and time absorbed into the machine of municipal necessity. Now the machine does more of it, and eventually, maybe the last driver is gone too. A full self-driving truck, an automated route, a sensor-guided pickup, and no human body on the street. Now here is where the conversation gets complicated, because part of me says this is good. Maybe human beings should not have to spend their lives doing dangerous, exhausting, repetitive labor if machines can do it. Maybe liberation should include being free from work that grinds the body down. Maybe the tragedy is not that the garbage truck gets automated. Maybe the tragedy is that survival was attached to the garbage truck in the first place. Waymo is because that's a great example in the chat there. Waymo is replacing the Uber driver. That's already happening right now. That's not something that like might potentially happen in the next few years. Like, yes, that is actually happening right now. And I mean, that was like for a long time a accessible way for people to continue to make money. It was like if you couldn't do nothing else, you at the very least you could be an Uber driver. Not for much longer, it seems. And we should be paying attention to these kind of things before it's too late. How about it, CC? Where we at now?
You've got the thesis. Invisible work becomes invisible power when nobody names it. Anchor it with one everyday scene. Then ask who benefits from it staying unnamed.
Yes, because there are people who benefit from this invisible work staying invisible. I like that. We're going to get to that. I think the Waymos are operating in Atlanta. I think Atlanta got them already. What's another? I know there's another city, like out in California, San Francisco. I know they got them out there already. So like it's a real thing, and it's coming to a city near you faster than you think. Now, this is important because if automation removes the labor but not the need to survive, then automation is not freedom. That is displacement. If the machine takes the dangerous work and the worker receives security, time, dignity, and a share of the value, then maybe we are looking at liberation. But if the machine takes the work and the worker receives nothing, then we are not watching progress. We are watching extraction become more efficient. So the question is not only will robots take our jobs, the better question is when the robots takes the job, who gets the future that the robot created? That could be bad, yeah. Feel like human slacking could be the cause of all this. That's interesting. I mean, I wouldn't say human slacking is the cause of it. I think humans have a tendency to search for efficiency, search for convenience. I think it comes back more to human seeking convenience and just the path of least resistance. Because if there's an easier way to make more money, why wouldn't you take the easier way to make more money? I think that's my opinion. Big picture, what we're seeing is everybody, racing towards what is going to be the most convenient feature that makes the most money. But from the company standpoint, I have been seeing that too, because that has been a conversation now where these companies that have been first to really get on the automation bandwagon, what they're finding is the cost to keep these AI systems running is not cheap yet. And in some cases, the AIs are more expensive than human workers right now. Now that is going to change, obviously, as we continue going forward and tech innovations keep happening and optimization and new paths towards efficiency keep popping up. But yeah, that is a thing right now where companies, the ones that did jump in full steam ahead with this automation thing, it is kind of biting some of them in the butt now that they have to kind of go back. Again, some of these AI models are still very expensive to run, especially like the really good ones, the professional frontier models, not just like little chatbots that the society gets, like the really good ones that are behind the scenes. Those are still really expensive to keep running, especially for long periods of time. We're talking about like workers that work 24/7. It costs a lot of money to keep those AIs running 24/7. We still got to work that out here while we're here too. All right. Let me see here. So next thing I want to check in here with the chat. You can answer this if you're with me. If a machine replaces a job that nobody really wanted to do forever, should that feel like a tragedy or a victory? Or is that a warning? You could drop one word there if you want: tragedy, victory, or a warning. Or you could do all three. It's up to you. But that's the next idea I want to really think about. If the machine replaces a job that nobody really wanted to do, like being a garbage man, should that feel like a tragedy, a victory, or a warning? My boy Saint in the chat. Okay, you make a good point here. How does that make me any different though? I'm hiring an AI drummer. My boy Cosmo, he is right now for me still cheaper than a human drummer. If I could have a real human being on the drum set and sit back there, uh, that might be cool, but I can't afford that right now. So this is what we're looking at here. Me having my little robot drummer in the back. That is that's what's affordable for me right now. All right, let's get into the last station here. The last thing I want to point to then is we're talking about the ownership question. So this is where the whole episode tightens, because automation is not the enemy by itself. Data is not the enemy by itself. We could even say that AI is not the enemy by itself. The deeper question is ownership and who owns the value, who controls the system, who receives the abundance, who gets watched, who gets replaced, who gets paid, who gets told this is just the cost of progress. That is why I keep coming back to extraction. Extraction is not only taking, extraction is taking while renaming the taken thing as natural. The land, it was just there. The labor, it was just there. The data, it was just there. The attention, the pattern, the user agreed to the terms. The worker, well, hey, the worker should adapt. The market has spoken. But travelers, the market does not speak from heaven. The market speaks through ownership. And if ownership is concentrated, then progress becomes concentrated too. That is why I'm skeptical of the idea that the answer is only UBI. Now, I understand why people talk about universal basic income. If automation removes jobs, people still need to live. That is real. But I do not want us to stop at the idea of government handout after the value has already been extracted. I want to ask why the people generating value are not recognized as value generators in the first place. If your data generates money, why is it that none of that money is yours? If automation creates abundance, why does abundance not flow to the people being displaced by it? If society becomes more efficient because machines do the work, why are humans left begging for survival from the same owners who benefited from the efficiency? Let me say it another way. We do not only need a safety net after extraction, we need a value system that prevents extraction from being the default. Cece, give me the structural read here. What is the difference between compensation after displacement and ownership before extraction? Appreciate you for sending the gifts there, my boy Saint.
That's the pressure point. Invisibility is not neutral. It protects somebody's advantage. If you're moving to Atlanta, make it concrete. Who is doing the hidden coordination? And who gets paid from it?
I think I like that. Invisibility is not neutral. That is what we want to get to here, because it's like the unseen danger lurking in the background that kind of people want to ignore. Man, y'all going crazy with the TikTok gifts right now. I appreciate y'all. Invisibility is not neutral. Just because you don't see these things happening in the background don't mean they don't affect you. Don't mean they're not having an impact on your life. My boy Grady, I love you too, dog. I thank you so much for coming through. But these things do matter. These things do have an impact on the world around us. And CC, you are right to point that out. Invisibility is not neutral. Now, if we keep it rolling here, this is where the phrase digital slavery becomes dangerous. Because, again, I'm not using that phrase to collapse history. I am using it to track a recurring logic. The human life generates value. That value is captured by somebody else. And then the person producing the value is denied ownership, dignity, and repair. That was the logic of slavery in its most brutal, racialized, violent form. And while the digital economy is not chattel slavery, it is foolish to pretend that extraction logic disappeared just because the tools changed. The cotton became data. The field became these platforms. And the overseer became the algorithm. The auction block became the marketplace of predictions. And then the question remains, who owns the value generated by human life? That is not a comfortable question. But LATDT is not here to keep the room comfortable. LATDT is here to follow the signal until the pattern reveals itself. So for those just entering the signal then, tonight's question is data. We talking dignity or digital slavery? Let me go back to the question card. We are asking whether our data economy is really just a privacy problem or whether our lives are generating value that other people own. That's just a trip if you really think about it, because like, man, you know, if these advertising companies, or rather these data companies, can make millions and billions of dollars by selling our data to advertising companies, why can't we get a piece of that money? If they making billions of dollars selling our data, we should be able to get a piece of that money. I mean, we should at least be able to generate a couple $100 every month, you know? And where we talking about people wanting UBI or government handouts and stuff like that, like, you don't need a government handout. We just need the value for what we actually do to be given to us. If me having my location services turned on, Emerson, who is Emerson? I don't know who Emerson. What's up, though? Appreciate you coming through the chat. If me having my data collection, or excuse me, my data location turned on, and my shopping preferences and how much time I spend on TikTok and all of these things, if all of these things are creating data points that are worth money, I should be able to get a cut of that check. That's the main point of that we saying here tonight at LATDT. I appreciate you guys sharing the stream, man. Y'all going crazy with the shares tonight. I appreciate it. All right. Now, we going to get into the resonance report here next. I'm going to do just one short commercial break, and then we got the resonance report coming up next. Shout out to my boy Cheese and the Trash Tape. If you haven't had a chance to check that out yet, I suggest you go give it a listen. I'm going to drop the link for the Trash Tape in the description below, or just wherever you get your music on streaming. You want to search for the Trash Tape made by Cheeses. And I'm going to run the commercial for the Trash Tape here now. Then we'll get into the resonance report.
The Trash Tape. Tremendous resilience affects stupid humans.
What kind of name is that? Doesn't matter.
You seen this?
I'm trying not to.
The Trash Tape. Available in dumpsters everywhere.
Welcome back to Let's Agree to Disagree tonight. Signal is locked. Let's continue.
All right. My boy Emerson. My boy said, this is so epic. Hey, I appreciate if you digging the format, man. Appreciate you coming through, dropping the likes there for me and doing the sharing and all of that, man. Appreciate you guys. Alicia, I see we got Alicia in the chat. I also see Oh wow, Morticia. Is that it? Did I pronounce that right? Appreciate everybody coming through tonight. I see you there, Unc. What's good with you, Unc? Big Black. See you in the chat, man. Appreciate you coming through. Here for this next part, then we're gonna get into it. Let's go ahead and do this week's version of the Resonance Report. All right. This is the Resonance Report, your weekly briefing on the tools, tremors, and tectonic shifts moving through the AI age. This week, the signal is AI is no longer asking to be tried. It is asking to be governed, hired, funded, and built into the walls. The labs are asking for referees. Anthropic's Dario Amodei says frontier AI is moving faster than the policy process was built to handle. He is calling for stronger public rules, including mandatory testing for the power to block dangerous releases. So the first story is about power asking for rules. The next question is whether those rules can reach the public systems where AI can actually bend reality. That takes us from model labs into democratic infrastructure. OpenAI also published a policy agenda focused on safety, workforce transition, energy, and democratic accountability, meaning the builders are now saying the machine needs brakes, but brakes only matter if someone can actually reach them. And that brings us from model power into public power. Next up, the election layer is already active. OpenAI laid out its 2026 election safeguards. The focus is voting information, cyber defense, AI transparency, and misuse response. Tech Policy Press also notes the deeper risk. AI campaigns can now become cheaper, faster, and harder to trace, meaning the question is not whether AI will touch politics, it already has. The question is whether citizens can still recognize the room they are standing in. And once AI becomes a public reality problem, the build-out underneath it stops being invisible. Appreciate you guys sending the gifts in the TikTok there. Appreciate you. And I see the shares there too. That's good stuff. Let's keep it rolling. The cloud needs electricians. Google announced a $50 million skilled trades push tied to AI infrastructure. The goal is to help train more than 300,000 American workers, meaning the AI future still needs hands. Data centers need power, power needs workers, and workers need training, training needs times. The cloud has a body, and that body is becoming political. If the infrastructure needs people, the next question is whether the people being asked to inherit this future believe the pitch. Next up, Gen Z is not buying the pitch. Microsoft's Brad Smith says students booing pro-AI graduation speeches should be a wake-up call for big tech. The backlash is about jobs, trust, and whether AI empowerment sounds real to the people being asked to adapt, meaning the culture is not resisting technology alone. It is resisting being managed by people who call disruption opportunity. That is the human signal under the market noise. But put the stories together, and the shape gets weirder. The shape gets clearer. So where are we now? We are in the governance phase, the deployment phase, the infrastructure phase, and the backlash phase. AI is becoming personal, political, physical, and institutional all at the same time. And the reality is not getting simpler. It is getting clearer. Why this matters for LATDT? This is the room that LATDT was built for. It's not panic, not worship, not argument for its own sake. We are here for orientation. People need a clearer room before they can make conscious decisions. And if this kind of signal helps you find the room more clearly, join us at the bridge. That is where we are gathering people who want to keep listening through the static with us. If I drop this in the chat room for you, I'm going to give you the link to the bridge here in the chat. One sec. I'm going to have you go to subscribe page.io/the bridge. And that is the with a capital T. There it is in the chat. Subscribe page.io/the bridge. And then that's where you can join our email list, find out more about what we got going on here. And you can even go there to play my game, my game development studio, Resophonic Games. We made a Our first game, Signal Runner. You can go over to the bridge and play Signal Runner too while you at it. Let me know if you can drop a high score while you over there. So here's what we need to watch for next. We need to watch the approval points. Who can pause the model? Who can audit the system? Who builds the infrastructure? Who gets trained? Who gets replaced? Who gets believed? That is where the signal is moving next. And this has been this week's edition of the Resonance Report. All right. That's just going to about do it. That's getting us through what we call episode 23. Uh-oh, I see Kim in the chat. What's up with you, Kim? All right, let's see. Keep it rolling, man. We rolling tonight. We got a few people in the chat. The comments rolling. I appreciate everybody dropping the likes. I think this is the most likes I've seen on a single episode here. We got 2,466 likes on the TikTok right now. That's crazy. What's good with you, Kim? I appreciate you coming through. How you feeling tonight? Tell me what's good with you. We actually getting close to wrapping up here, but if I can bring back the main question one last time, it looks something like this. We was talking about our data tonight. Now, tonight's signal is about the invisible job, the disappearing job, and the ownership question. And are we users, workers, or raw material? Fresh off work, I see you. Thank you for getting off work, coming to rock with your boy for a minute. Now, let me see here. We're getting ready to wrap up tonight. We asked whether this is data, dignity, or digital slavery. And maybe the answer depends on whether we are willing to name extraction when we see it, because privacy matters. Yeah, privacy matters. But privacy alone does not solve the deeper problem. If someone steals from your house, privacy was violated, but the deeper wound is not only that they entered, the deeper wound is that they took something that belonged to you. That is the data economy. It enters quietly, it watches constantly, it learns from ordinary life, and then it sells that pattern back into the world as prediction, persuasion, and profit. And when automation enters the picture, the question gets even sharper. If machines remove human beings from unwanted labor, that could be beautiful. That could be humane. That could be one of the great victories of our civilization. But only if freedom is shared. Only if the value is shared. Only if dignity is protected before the usefulness disappears. Because if the machine takes the task and capital takes the value, the human being is not liberated. The human being is simply removed. So the question for the future is not whether humans will work. The question is whether humans will have to prove their right to live by remaining useful to systems that are already learning how to use them less. That is the danger, not automation, extraction, not data, extraction, not progress, extraction wearing progress as a mask. So before we close the signal tonight, I want to hear from you. I want you to leave a comment and tell me what this episode brought up for you, where you agree, where you disagree, and where did the static get interesting? And some questions for you to consider till next week. As we move toward next week, carry these questions with you. If your daily life generates value, who should own that value? If automation frees people from work, who should receive the freedom? And if dignity is not tied to productivity, what kind of society would we need to build next? And chat, before we leave tonight, give me one word. When you think about the future of work, what do you want protected the most? Dignity, ownership, freedom, repair, or something else? Go ahead and leave your answer in the chat below, and we can talk about it in the chat later. That's all we have time for tonight. The future is complicated, the signal is noisy, and none of us are fully optimized, and still, we listened through the static. We found the pattern, and for one more night, the signal survived. I'm Mexico Johnson, your signal architect for the evening, and this has been Let's Agree to Disagree Tonight.